Hello again, everyone. Michael Vosbein with Drummer Nation coming to you from the Atlanta Drum Shop, where we have a little bit of a special event going on. Mike Eckert is the owner. We'll be talking to him in a minute. But we have Arthur Stones from Sentient Cymbals and Josh Blunt from, what's the name of your drum company?
Lucky Drums.
Lucky Drums, brand new company.
Brand new company.
Well, we're going to talk to both of them about that. I know, Arthur, let's start with you. You're having a cymbal tasting here today.
Yeah, a little taste of the pie, a little bronze buffet, as it were.
Tell me about your brand.
Sentient Cymbals as a brand has only been out, I guess, total now 15 years. We started, of course, in Asia, our factories in Jinan, China, and they had looked at moving west, hadn't figured out the right way to do it. Yourself, being in the industry, you know how tough it is.
Oh, yeah.
So we looked at what some of the other brands were doing. We looked at the fact that we had a huge advantage being an actual factory versus a bought private label. Mm-hmm. Took advantage of what all benefits that brings to us, which is customization, design options, things like that, that every drummer can take advantage of, not just an A-list or signature series.
Well, you're getting into what I wanted to ask you most, which is what is your core differentiator? What makes Sentient different from one of the other brands?
Yeah, 100% spots. The biggest spot is the fact we are an actual factory. You know, let's do the math. There's globally 125 to 130 cymbal brands. There's only 25 to 30 cymbal factories. Mm-hmm. So if we do the math, not everybody's making their own cymbals. Private labels been around forever. Look at cereal. Right? I always use boxes of cereal.
There's nothing necessarily wrong with private
Absolutely
labels.
not.
But I know a place in Istanbul that has 3 doors with 3 different brands on it.
Absolutely.
It's the same building.
Yes, and 4 tractors in the back.
That's right. There is a correlation between Turkish cymbals and
tractors
and tractor repair facilities.
There's direct correlation.
Which has a longer history we won't go into.
Yeah, but you know what? Both the tractors and the cymbals are all wonderful. They really are.
I think the tractors are hand hammered, but I don't know.
That's it. But I mean, you know, that's the biggest thing for us is I think what differentiates us is we're a factory selling our house brand, but we're doing it to benefit of all drummers, right? So, yeah, you may be able to buy a Zildjian, but you're able to call Zildjian up and say, I need it 16 inches, 1,232 grams, underside hammering, raw top, high top bell.
That's quite a differentiator.
Right.
So how does somebody do that? Where do they start?
They can either come to any of our retailers, for example, Mike here at the Atlanta Drum Shop, Drummer's Journey in Fargo, Moorhead, the Kansas City Drum Shop, Kansas City, or just get with us online, sentientcymbalsusa.com. Find me, Arthur Stones, on Facebook.
CENT.
Easy, because I make it easy. STON easy for Stones.
No, I meant Sentient.
CEN. TEN. You'll have to edit this part out.
It's not a spelling test.
Well, apparently it was, and I failed miserably.
I failed, I guess.
I failed miserably.
All right, well, we'll keep going.
So we start with the spelling. CENTENT.
Sentient.
Sentient.
Why didn't you say so?
I tried. Very loosely translated, Little House Big Mountain, because that's what we are. We're just a little blip on a giant radar of brands and musical choices out there. And
well, I'd like to point out that it's a giant radar of numbers of brands, but the industry itself is pretty small.
It's a very small industry, and the deeper you get inside of it, the more you realize how small it gets small quickly. But I think that's with a lot of things.
Sure.
From when you first get in and look at anything, on a spectrum, it's quite large. Once you start knowing, understanding,
You get into the boutique brands.
Yeah.
You're not selling Fords and Chevys.
that's it. Yeah.
Right.
And the neat thing is that I've enjoyed is actually, speaking of boutique, is the guys out there like the Timothy Roberts, the Matt Nolans, the Paul Francis, the Matt Bettis, Craig Laurentians, and on and on and on.
These are all independent cymbalsmiths.
These are the true craftsmen of the industry, right? And I love being able to support what they do, and a lot of people don't understand why that is. And what made me think of that was your Chevy kind of comment. Yeah, we can do some customization work, absolutely. To the extent they do, no. And here's why: we can't spend 3 weeks making a cymbal, right? When we now, as a little brand, we're in 60 countries, right?
Are you really?
Oh yeah.
That's one of the things I use to define a brand: is how many countries are you really?
Yeah,
in?
we've cracked 60. But we're still small as the industry goes, right? When you have 98% of the market dominated by 4 global brands with generations and generations of history behind
Right.
them and complete control of the retail market
It's
and
trying to
everything
like go
else.
up against Pepsi and Coke.
Absolutely. And we're busy enough as it is, we wouldn't be able to compete. And
Right.
that kind of takes me back to what I was saying with the independents. They can't put out 100,000 symbols a year,
Right.
right? They don't have the time, the means to try and do that, train the people, everything else to do true artisan
Well,
work.
you need a true sales force and distribution
Yeah,
network.
it'd be
and
massive.
Massive marketing, and it's a big concern.
So they, they have a wonderful, they still have that wonderful niche of what their clientele base is with it. Mike Montigello, another great one. Him and I have actually been right by each other at several of the trade shows and drum shows. And we actually work really well together because if somebody's looking for that, let's say Koenigsegg car, that's your guy.
There's a lot of camaraderie in the industry. My friends were always with all the other companies. I knew the cats at Zildjian and Sabian and Meinl and Paiste and Stag and some of the others, the Turkish companies. And, I mean, we're not. We want to win in the marketplace, but personally, we're all friends.
I don't think anybody wants to take food off anybody's table. And I still remember my first Chicago show, and I had Media Symbols on one side of me and Paiste on the other. And Tim Shahadi from Paiste, open arms. And
Yeah.
he ended up needing a couple things he needed some stackers that I happened to have. And he really kind of made it a simple point of, yeah, I'm never going to be them. They're never going to
course.
be us. And if everybody just played nicely, there's room for everybody.
There is, yeah.
Right.
Mr. Blunt,
Yes, sir.
you're another independent small company trying to get a toehold in the industry.
That's right.
And Lucky Drums is your brand.
Yes, sir.
We're in Atlanta. You live near Atlanta.
Yeah, an hour south of here.
And you have your own shop and you make the shells.
That's right, handmade.
We're going to look at them in a minute. I'll cover some of that. But
Yeah.
so your core differentiator is what?
That everything's made from scratch by hand, unique, made to order.
And they're mostly made out of copper.
Yeah, solid copper. We do aluminum, steel, some stainless steel, but for the most part, people go with copper.
And you're fashioning those shells yourself.
That's correct. Yeah, fully handmade, right here for right now.
That's wonderful, man. What
Yeah.
made you decide to go with copper?
Honestly, just trial and error. So I first started just rolling steel shells just because it's cheap, readily available. Played around with some of those. Aluminum's great. Copper's a little more expensive. So once I kind of figured out how to make a drum, I was like, let's try copper. And then I haven't looked back.
And you were telling me it's a softer metal.
That's correct. Yeah, copper's very malleable, and leaving it as such gives it that warm tone that keeps selling drums.
Beautiful, man. Well, we're going to
Yeah.
have a look at those, and I appreciate meeting you. And we'll should get to know each other pretty well. I'm in Atlanta, too.
Awesome.
All right, thanks for doing the show.
Thank you.
Good luck to you. All right, I have the head dog in charge here,
Mike Eckert.
Mike Eckert. I know your name.
Yeah.
I was getting to that. So you opened the store here, Mike, in like Labor Day. You had an opening party
September
we were at
4th, yep.
for that shindig.
Yes,
so
you
you're
were here.
6-8 months down the road. How's it going?
We're just over 7 months down the road, and things are going well. Every day is a little bit of additional momentum, and people are finding out about us. It's going well.
Very good. I'm
Getting
glad
more,
to hear that.
More students, more people finding out about us, more clinics. The clinics have gone really well, and so every day it's kind of an inch further down the road.
Great. You've been doing a lot of clinics, I noticed.
Yeah.
At a time when there's sort of being cut back. I'm glad you're able to keep those going.
You know, that's part of the mission here is to bring back the culture of drum clinics. I think one of the unintended consequences of Amazon and Sweetwater is that even though they provide these great services, you know, they're not doing drum clinics. And so with the kind of the falling off of drum shops came
Right.
the falling off of drum clinics. So that was one of the things that we said culturally was we're going to do drum clinics.
That's great. And that's accurate, too, what you said. The thing I dig about a store or a retail store versus an online presence is the community, the sense of camaraderie, community. Every
Yeah.
time I come here, I meet some new cats I haven't met before, boys and girls, men and women, and,
Right.
and from all walks of life, and we're all unified by the drums.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what brands do you carry?
Gosh, we carry Zildjian. Today, of course, the focus is on Centent. And interestingly, I want to stop and talk quickly about Centent. I went from not knowing the brand. A lot of people still don't know the brand Sentient. Not knowing the brand to then Arthur doing a pop-up sale here. And in short order, Sentient became our number one selling thing. Like not number one selling symbol, our number one selling thing.
Really?
Eclipsing our own hats and T-shirts.
Really?
Yeah, there's a lot of people who come, hey, I heard about you guys and I want to support the shop. I don't really need a snare drum right now, but I'll buy a hat to support us. And so, of course, hats and T-shirts were our number one seller. And then so Sentient quickly, because of really, really good pies that they sell, the symbols themselves are awesome. They look cool, and then the price is great.
Nice symbols, and they're very reasonably priced.
Very
And
reasonable.
Arthur's really terrific. He
Very good support. Yes,
really
Arthur's
is
a
on
great guy. But so Zildjian, then Sentient, Dream symbols, Paiste symbols, Meinl symbols, Turkish symbols. Of course, we got a lot of pre-owned
brand
stuff.
Turkish.
Yeah, the brand Turkish. Yes, exactly, Turkish. As far as drum kits and snare drums, I'll start with snare drums. Snare drums, we have Pie Drum Company, who's local. We're a big fan of supporting and highlighting our local manufacturers. And a lot of people are surprised to find out that within a couple hours drive of the Atlanta Drum Shop, you have Pie Drum Company, and that's Adam Sykes, and he's making fantastic stave and now ply snare drums. We've got Lucky Drum Company, who's
Just
the other
spoke to
focus
him.
today. Yep, so you guys are familiar with Lucky. And then Outlaw Drums, who's out of Middle Georgia. On the back of our shirts it says, "I support my local drum shop." Well, contained within that same thought is we support, as a community, support our local drum builders. And so,
Beautiful.
and then as far as other brands, we carry a lot of pre-owned stuff as far as the big stuff. And
Well,
then
you came at
a
it
lot
from
of
that
accessories.
direction originally,
Yes,
right? You
yeah.
were a collector and restorer
Yes.
and vintage gear
Yes.
online guy.
That's right.
And you still have that going too.
Yes, it's kind of paused as we've put a lot of efforts into getting the store up and underway. But we're about to get back into a refocus on the restoration and on the vintage, and we're going to merge. My brand was Blue Goose Classic Percussion for the
Right.
vintage focus. That's
That's
going to be
BLOO.
BLOO, exactly.
G-O-O-S-E.
Yes, BLOO, That is going to merge and become a page and a brand of the Atlanta Drum Shop, so that we don't confuse people. And wait, is that Blue Goose or is it Atlanta Drum
gotcha.
Shop? It'll be a page of vintage drums that's part of AtlantaDrumShop.com.
Well, it helps to have it all. For
Yeah.
too many years, there was this argument over online retail. They hated each other, blah, blah, blah. Now, everybody's embracing both.
Yeah.
And you were very well situated for that.
Yeah, well, we've been missing the online piece, and we've done it backwards with a brick and mortar retail store, but now we're just on the cusp of AtlantaDrumShop.com going live. Like we're talking, the only thing that's left is to be putting the inventory into the website. So today is 420. I would say by 427, check the website; it'll be live.
Beautiful. You hear that, everyone? Are you going to do sound files or anything like that? Or
Yes,
video?
that's one thing. God, people don't like to buy cymbals, vintage snare drums, vintage drums, or even drum sets where we try to do high quality demos
Right.
of each of those. Yeah, I think that's important.
Especially the high end stuff.
Yes.
And if you're going to spend $500 on a cymbal, you really want to hear it.
You need to know how it sounds. That's right.
You really
Yeah,
And then there's mechanisms in there for returns and things like that.
exactly.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I'm glad you're doing so well. I'm glad you're
Hey,
here.
thank you for the continued support. You were here on the first day we started.
My
now
honor.
we're here in the 7.5 month, and we appreciate you. And
Glad you're here, my friend.
and your podcast. Thanks.
All right. We'll talk soon.
All right. Thanks.